Hi, I'm Greg Burnett. I'm a contributing editor with the Journal of Light Construction magazine.
And I'm Eric Klein, master installer with Marvin Windows and Doors.
Makers of the next generation ultimate double hung window. Step one is prep the opening. Eric uses the Method A1 membrane drainage system. Here are 4 of its key parts. The overhang. So Eric, you're cutting across the top of the header, and then I see you're doing a diagonal cut, and you're doing that on both sides, correct? One on either end?
That's the first cut we make and the last part to come down after the installation.
The sloping sill edge.
What we want to have here is positive slope to the exterior drainage point, which is a weather-resistant barrier.
The self-sealing flexible membrane. How do we calculate the length of this piece of flashing?
It's rough opening width plus 6 inches on each side.
So how does this work at the corners, though?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my finger in the corner, push it outward, use my speed square, and roll it up.
The composite shims.
Today I'm using composite shims at the sill.
So that's canceled out the slope of that sill, yet it still allows for drainage of that sill pan.
The space in between takes the unit up off anything that might have surface tension to draw into the window.
Okay, time for step 2. Save important labels. Okay, Eric, so I see a number of stickers on this window. Can you tell us which ones are the critical ones we need to be aware of right now?
The hardware removal instructions
Painter will need that.
and the window operating instructions.
The homeowner gets that. And I also see some gaskets tucked in here between the sash. What are those about?
They're corner gaskets go over the nailing flange at the corners. All 4 corners are vulnerable and the gaskets are a part of the warranty.
Okay, on to step 3. Set the window in place. And what we're doing is we're pulling the nailing fins out as we set the window in the opening itself. And Eric, how do you center this?
I like to make a mark along my nail flange, slide it over,
Okay.
make my other mark, find the center spot
And why is centering the window so important?
for movement in the building.
And how will we secure this?
We're going to secure it with a 2-inch galvanized roofing nail at the bottom 2 corners. Check it for level, and then go to the top, and then check it for diagonals.
Well, we know our sill is level, so is it safe to assume that right again, or should we double check it?
Double check, never assume.
Okay. So at this point, Eric, the window's not actually secured, it's just more or less pinned in place.
That's right.
And we can still make adjustments to it as necessary.
So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we check for level, and check for plumb, and again, we're going to check for square.
So you're going to pull diagonals to ensure that the window is square. And essentially, if the 2 diagonal measurements are equal, we know the window is square. How does this one look?
This one's right on.
Step 4 is an all-important part of installation, shimming the window. Eric, what are we using for shims?
Today I'm using stackable shims, what we call horseshoe or stackable shims, 1/16 of an inch each.
Okay, and where do those shims go exactly?
Well, today I'm going to start out right here. I'm going to shim between the rough opening and the jamb. And what I want to do is I don't want to force them shims in. I want to go in there and I want to be anywhere from 4 to 6 inches from the corner.
So we've got the bottom shimmed. Where else do we need to place shims?
I'm going to go next to the upper corner, check for placement of my window, see if I have to pull it in and out. Right now I'm looking at making sure things stay square. We'll put another shim in and we'll check the squareness of it.
46 inches from the top and 46 inches from the bottom is where the shims are placed.
That is correct. Use my air wedge on the other side.
Now, what is it that you've got there?
It's an air wedge. It's kind of a second hand to help me manipulate that frame a bit. It actually applies pressure to proper areas. As you can well tell, I can go out there, move it just a little bit more. Slide it in, release it, brings the pressure back. I'll have a nice tight fit there and there.
It's that simple.
It's that simple is right. Another function that I use, I release the lock on the upper sash, bring the top sash down, take out the top farting stop, and check side to side, making sure that you just see a little daylight there. Go to the center, and notice that I need some shimming going there and at the bottom. Now the next thing I'm going to do for the shimming part of it, we actually show a shimming sticker here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my reveal. And notice that my reveal is a little bit wide at the top, right at the check rail, and right here we're the same.
So you're just visually sighting that.
I like to shim right above the check rail. Put them shims in there, release, look at the reveal again. Go over here, do the same. Once I've done that, look at my reveal, remove any loose shims around, check your operation.
And I notice we don't ever shim at the top of the window because we don't want to introduce downward pressure to that window itself.
That is right, yeah. Typically, we're looking at this shimming process is quite easy, and it's a good way to have a good operational and full performing window.
And now for step 5, remove the sash.
We're going to go to the sash lock, rotate it 3/4, push down on the top sash to release it, lift the bottom sash up, push the button on the hardware and rotate, and then rotate the sash in. Flat sash, rotate it up and out of the clutches. Next I'll go to the top sash, bring that down to a level where I can actually grab the 2 tilt latches at the top rail and rotate, and you'll notice the little pull tabs or latches. Again, flat, bring it up, rotate it out, and then store it with the bottom sash vertically as well.
And now for step 6, removing the covers. Eric will show us how easy this is to do using just a simple flathead screwdriver.
Make sure you have the screwdriver tipped in far enough, rotate it forward, pull it out, and then pull it down. On the bottom mid cover with that screwdriver, get behind that cover and then rotate it forward. With that rotated forward, put your hand behind it and slide it out nicely.
Let's go to step 7. This is where we'll position and pin the jambs. You're going to need 6 number 8 by 3-inch screws, 3 for each side of the jamb. And Eric, how do we know where to put those screws?
Well, that's a good one. There are places already pre-marked in the jamb, and that's one of the reasons I like to use horseshoe shims, is that I can actually place that screw and go through without pre-drilling through the shims.
Step 8 is verifying that the jamb is still true after we've secured it. Eric, how do we do this?
With the level, we want to put it up against the jamb and ensure that we have it straight after pinning through the jamb.
So what you're looking for is you're trying to verify we haven't distorted the jamb during the process of securing it, correct?
Correct.
And I also notice you've got a fairly long level. How does that help us with this process?
Helps us make sure that we have the entire distance of the jamb pretty well covered with the length of the level.
Step 9, let's replace the covers. So Eric, I've noticed that these covers snap in really just using hand pressure. No mallets or hammers or anything necessary, huh?
Not necessary. Should be just enough for hand pressure to do the job.
Looks good.
Very nice.
And now for step 10, let's put the sash back in. We're going to start with the top sash in any double hung application. So here what Eric is doing is he's actually tilting that sash into position, and he's lining the pins on the sides of the sash up with the clutches, dropping them into the clutches that are within the jamb, and tilting the sash back into position. He can release the pins at the top of the sash, push the sash out until it contacts the weather stripping, and then raise the sash up until it clicks into position. The bottom sash will get installed in a similar fashion. So he'll again lift it up, engage the pins in the clutches, making sure that they're fully seated. He'll retract the locking mechanism, which will disengage the pins, and then he can slide the sash into the opening and lock it into position. Step 11 is critical to the performance of the window. We need to seal and flash the outside. Eric is going to actually finish fastening the window around the perimeter. To do that, he'll be using 2-inch galvanized roofing nails driven into every other hole in the nailing pin. Once the window is secure, we can actually go ahead and start flashing the window.
Apply my corner gasket.
And these are the corners that we saved from earlier in the process. They come shipped with every single Marvin window.
What I want to do is lap up on that corner a bit, get that adhered, and then go ahead and put a little dollop of sealant underneath that drip edge. I'm going to beat a sealant around that corner.
And you'll do this at every corner, correct?
And all 4 corners.
Okay.
All 4 corners are vulnerable, and the gaskets are a part of the warranty. We're going to do with the flashing tape here. We're going to start out with the jamb side. Start out at the top, Want to be about 1 inch above the nailing flange. I'll go into my pouch, get my speed square, pull it off the unit, use my speed square to roll that product in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the corner where it's lapped, put my knife into the corner, cut at an angle, and then wrap it around. You know that water always follows an edge, and what we're trying to do here is make sure it diverts away from the frame rather than to the frame. What I like doing here is the same, using the frame as my guide to go across. 6 inches over each side. Taking a speed square, down. Then again, it's a little part about cutting the corner, wrapping around.
Okay, Eric, so we've got the weather-resistant barrier brought back down over the top of the window, and you mentioned you needed to tape that. How will we do that?
I'm going to use a roll of sheathing tape. I'm going to put a piece of tape anywhere between 6 to 10 inches across that diagonal, and then a skip tape across the top of that.
Why skip tape?
I don't want to entrap any water behind that tape. I want to make sure whatever gets behind that paper as a membrane goes down and out.
Okay. And what Eric is doing here is he's applying a backer rod as well as a bead of sealant to the lower portion of the window. This will act as a back dam and prevent moisture intrusion from making its way into the interior of the building. Our final step, step 12, is checking the operation of the window. So Eric, since you did the install, I'll be the quality control inspector and I'll check your work. So the first thing I'll be looking for is to determine whether or not the sash are operating properly. I'm looking to be sure that the margins are equal, that the sash travel freely, that there are no pinch points, and that the weather stripping is not compressed. I'll close those up, I'll check the locking mechanism, I'll check the margins again, and Eric, great job.